with Simplicity now up 2 games, 1 game away from being able to claim the series. I heard you like team fights.
Oh, is that Battlefield of Eternity, also known as the Arena of Death? Because
is that its surname? Battlefield of Eternity: Arena of Death.
Yeah, I actually just looked it up like 5 seconds ago in my own personal notebook, which actually doesn't even exist right here, but it is. I can confirm.
Arena of Death.
Yep.
You're just like, okay.
Right here.
You already forgot the title. Let's go. Battlefield of Eternity. We didn't get Simplicity on Battlefield. It was banned by Gale Force against them.
And guess why? Because Simplicity likes to fight. And this is the one map where you can guarantee you will fight throughout. There's no avoiding it. There is zero avoiding a team fight on this map at any point in the game. So I'm not surprised we see Simplicity on here. I'm not surprised that we saw it banned out. We haven't seen this team on it, but we know Zuna-style teams, obviously a different roster this go-around, love this battleground. We saw them do, when it was lag force towards the second phase, they went from like, we're going to team fight a lot to, what if we play Zagara Abathur on BOE? And I'm just like, I don't know, there's no way. What are they doing?
This isn't the lag force we know and love.
That worked though.
Yeah.
That, like, how does a Zagara Abathur on BOE work? I promise you, if I ever see that in my game, I'm probably just going to cry a little bit. But somehow they were able to pull it off.
You do love B-Kid Zagara.
Yes, I do. I mean, so much so that I was talking about how, you know, we know he's going to be on the melee role going forward, but I'm like, but what if he gets on Zagara?
Yeah, that's the reason right there. When I think of Battlefield of Eternity and Zuna, I think all the way back to DreamHack Austin, because that was the just put me on a hero that I can carry map.
Yeah.
And wasn't it Kael'thas?
Yeah, that was the Kael'thas days. Those are the Gravity Crush days where a lot of Kael'thas is pretty scary.
Pretty sure he said, just put me on something that can carry, and it was Battlefield of Eternity. In other words, it's been a Zuna map for a long time, and I am pumped. I'm sure you're pumped too. But it does, SpaceStation's more okay also with the team fighting too, the team fighting element. They've got Equinox, they've got a lot of aggressive players. So it is understandable why they have let this map through, whereas Gale Force would want to ban it versus them.
Yeah, just yesterday we saw Shrite on the Li Ming, and he made some serious plays. It took some teamwork, but there was one team fight that will stand out. I'm sure it'll be a highlight clip throughout the season on how he initiated that. It's all about the initiation if we actually watch that fight down the road. But he is more than comfortable with being on those heroes, being involved in the team fight, and trying to set up and initiate for his team, which he did shortly before that boss in that last game. Like, if you actually look, he's standing on the other side of the wall as Jaina gets the root, gets the combo, and then ends up finishing it down the road. He's making plays, it's just the team needs to kind of work and smooth out a few rough edges.
Yeah, it was very close, that last game. And the last time they played on Battlefield, they won, but it was against a pretty unorthodox composition of LFM. Could be something similar from Simplicity, maybe, just in a hyper-aggressive style. LFM brought in the double warrior melee assassin with Illidan. Didn't quite work out. SpaceStation punished really hard from that. So even though this is a Simplicity battleground that we talk about their aggression, SpaceStation can take advantage of that 2-lane battleground if they get far ahead.
We're going to find out soon. Draft-wise, Jaina is not a BOE-style hero, but you never know. It could just be that complimentary piece to look for that fight as we are ready for it.
SpaceStation contemplating an ETC ban. Genji, Hanzo,
Still 100% by the way.
In NA.
There's another region?
Yes.
NA's coming.
Just wanted to throw that out just in case. Genji ban. Hanzo, Lucio.
You know, my favorite part about being on the West Coast is like I wake up, I'm up a little bit, and then I just like I pull up my iPad, and then I just like turn on Twitch, and like the game start at 9 a.m. here. Like it was 12 o'clock on the East Coast, right? So now I just wake up, and it's kind of like my morning routine these first few days.
Get some coffee.
It's amazing.
Maybe some, what's your breakfast of choice? Some cereal?
Coffee.
Some Ragnaros?
Coffee covers both coffee and breakfast.
Me too. Kaldor will agree with us. Greymane first pick by SpaceStation. Back to that. That was the first pick every game, SpaceStation versus LFM.
Where do we sit on Tychus too, by the way? He's doing pretty well.
Yesterday, 4 out of 5 games.
Yeah, 2.
And then today, one last game.
doing pretty good.
Last game was the only game he's played this series, right?
All it took was that marginal auto attack buff to bring him right back into the meta. Still, no Vala games here in North America.
Well, also, we've had a lot of double tank, a lot of double warrior.
Yeah.
And with sustained damage, he is able to provide less double support to just wick that away. Lots of different reasons, but a lot of different teams really liking Tychus. Li Ming and Hanzo.
Gilly, that's a lot of race.
Yes.
That is insane race.
And good to take Li Ming away. SpaceStation last time on Battlefield of Eternity wanted Greymane and Li Ming together. They had the poke from that, and then they had the Greymane damage too. So even if Li Ming was more prioritized on having the poke for defense, you could still send Greymane back. A lot of options with those two. But in having Hanzo and Li Ming, as Jayhao alludes, there is so much race there, but at least SpaceStation have Greymane.
Yeah, he's kind of the fallback option. You know, I saw it a little bit in EU earlier. They were playing some Lunara, and Lunara kind of rose a little bit in phase 1 of last year. Double support became new meta, which was terrible for Lunara. So it's a possibility, depending on the support on the other team, somebody like Alex Straza, somebody like Stukov make Lunara a little less appealing. But then there's some other options where Lunara does well on this battleground, does well on the skirmish, and does well against a couple of supports. So they could hold on to the last few picks, but Simplicity with the last pick itself might again wait and sit on that support.
It seems very likely, considering how they've been drafting thus far in their 2 series of HGC 2018. Lucio Muradin puts SpaceStation in a very similar position of an earlier draft, just very well-rounded, having a support, their main tank, and a good solid damage dealer, so it's hard to pick where to ban from. Simplicity will just try to take away one of the side laning heroes that can also help out with the race too.
I feel like Arthas would be a really good ban here. It takes care of the Greymane dive potentially coming in. Muradin's already picked up on your side. Arthas does okay when controlling points around there. They end up with the Arthas ban. I like that a lot. And we'll see what comes out of King Caffeine now. I don't think he's a Johanna-style player. And so we've taken away ETC, we've taken away Arthas, and Muradin picked up by the other team. So now, where do we see King Caffeine? Varian last year was actually his most successful hero statistically. However, Varian's fallen off big time in the meta. The other hero was Diablo, which was his second best statistic hero. BOE, some tricky points to it. And I'm just trying to figure out where his hero pool lies right now when we take away the top 3 in terms of what we've seen meta-wise in terms of warriors.
That is a very good question. How do you feel about Anub Stukov here?
Anubarak suffers from the, if they go another auto attack style hero, then Anubarak suffers pretty hard.
Yeah.
Because because of his built-in spell armor, he has a lower health pool than most other tanks.
Ooh.
Wow. I mean, could you get any more race than this Simplicity?
They will go Joe.
I think that's safe. I think that's safe more than anything. It takes away a potential Tychus here on the backside for SpaceStation because Johanna has the physical armor, although percent damage from minigun is a little different, but you have the blind for things. So I think that Johanna is a safe pick. I haven't seen a lot of King Caffeine on it. I don't blame him for not picking it most of the time, but when worse comes to worse, you go Johanna.
He is storied for not liking Johanna. He does not like playing Johanna.
Yeah, I mean.
And because of that, you will probably see him riding the sad Cloud Mount, though it's one that he rides a lot anyway. But he's not a fan of Johanna, but he will play her when necessary. And Johanna tends to be a nice, solid, safe warrior on Battlefield of Eternity because her blinds can slow down the race. And Simplicity is obviously about the race now. Yeah,
with Li Ming being gone, they already have Hanzo. You look at those backup options. I mentioned Lunara, but that puts you in the double auto attack style against a Johanna. We're finally getting Vala, which gives you that blend of auto attack plus the burst style when you can go Q build, get that mage style damage out, and gives you race potential. Our first Vala. I'm really looking forward to seeing this. I actually think I want to say Vala. I'll get back to you. I think last year, Vala was Jason's most played hero. right up there with him and Tychus. Her and Tychus were his top 2, with Vala being the number 1. So with Jason moving over to melee, I imagine Shrite will be there, Casanova potentially on the gray main.
Right.
I think that duo is very different now. So the team of what we used to see with Jason being formerly on the carry, now over to the melee. Are you surprised that it's Dahaka and maybe not Leoric?
Not considering... Looking at Jason's heroes yesterday, yeah, maybe. But as far as how long he's played, Dahaka to me seems to be more likely for him. That way they can use the global. They're making sure that they're keeping some split pushing and keeping potentially Simplicity, some of Simplicity back, trying to deal with that. Pulls back Artanis would be the likely choice from that, unless you're going to send someone like a Li Ming or a Hanzo just to try to take things out. No surprise, Stukov as the final pick, the support for Simplicity. Really just... You know, I know it doesn't really make sense like the Johanna safer, but I just want to see Simplicity play a noob Stukov, man. It's Calf. He plays a lot of a noob. It's a noob
half
Stukov.
of it.
That's true. And his Stukov is great. K1 Pros.
Li Ming, Hanzo, Artanis is some of the best race you could possibly have cumulatively. Now look on the other side. Murden can get in and disrupt a little bit of the back line. Greymane occasionally, but it's more situational. Dahaka, I think, is going to be the key to this, to use that Brush Stalker, find ways to get around, to get to that backside. Flailing Swipe only goes one direction. Hanzo has a hard time when people are diving on him. Li Ming the same way. So I think a lot of eyes for me this game, Gilly, are going to be on Jason, on Dahaka, to make plays to set up. Because other than that, their engage is very limited. Yeah,
try to steal some drags, steal some squishy damage dealers, pull them into a stun from the Immortal, and then go from there. Let's see if SpaceStation and Jason as Dahaka can take us to Game 5 in the series, or if Simplicity will walk away with their first victory.
Shrite will be the one on Vala this game, Gilly, so that'll be prime to see. He's sitting on that talent pick. Tell me, it's Q build. I mean, Q build, what was it? It was probably towards the end of last year, had a minor nerf.
Yes.
But I can't imagine you don't go Monster Hunter style on this map.
Yeah, definitely. Having the bonus damage to minions, mercenaries, and monsters, also the mana reduction from the Hungering Arrow, getting a couple of those once you get to 7, and having the chunking damage that it does to Immortals is just so strong. I'm trying to bring those monsters down. Exactly.
Monsters. Okay. And a swing and a miss.
And so we had the first engage.
Hold on.
Of Game 4.
Hold on. Let's get a little bit interesting. So one of the main things, so Stukov flailing swipe goes forward. Dahaka wants to be behind. There's a pretty good way of knocking somebody from the backside to the front side.
I wasn't going to say it, but I'll let you say it. I was thinking it earlier in draft.
Haymaker.
You know?
This is Equinox.
He played so much Haymaker last year. On Gale Force and on SpaceStation. When they would play on Braxis, the one hero they would swap Equinox onto as the main warrior, Muradin. You know why? He would Haymaker people off of the beacons. It's true. So I wondered if maybe that was going to be it. I don't know if that is still Equinox's thing now that he is more of the main tank, and this isn't Braxis so much, but...
Channel your inner Honkono.
Yeah, let's see if he does it. That'd be pretty fun.
For those not familiar with the international scene, Honkono was a part of the Korean scene. I believe he's casting this year in Korean. Actually, I saw a tweet about that. I don't know if that was a joke or actually serious, but I believe he is. But either way, we interviewed him at BlizzCon, and we heard rumors of Haymaker. And we kind of asked him anything weird. And obviously, we were speaking with a translator, but in English, he looks at us, he said, Haymaker only. And that was his only response. In every game he picked Murd, and it was Haymaker only. So maybe we'll get that out of Equinox.
Knocking people left and right. Change up in K1 Pro's build for the first time. He's always gone with the Lurking Arm build. But in this case, getting Fetid Touch. Trying to have the cooldown reduction of Weighted Pustule. And then eventually removing its mana cost. Maybe just some more control. Follow-up after a swap as well could be the thought process there.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good call, because in terms of your hard CC, Gilly, we don't have that until Blessed Shield, and I think that's going to be one of the major setup options. You've got Condemn, which gives you that mini stun plus the pull. But if you can follow that up, and we talk about Li Ming's skill shots, even that swap you were talking about, it creates opportunities. I think I like that pickup a lot.
Still in camp in the bottom from Simplicity, but they are sort of late to the party going after the fallen Shaman. They're heading on the way there now. Look at this. We've got a sledgehammer. Equinox is doing all he can to make sure that SpaceStation can keep up with the race. Now we've got Sledgehammer. Of course, that doesn't remove ammo anymore since there is no ammo, but it still does 350% bonus damage with Stormbolt to non-heroic enemies. You can use it on structures too.
We saw that, again, that was a Korean style in Phase 2 of last year. It wasn't necessarily the most popular. It hasn't necessarily been meta before. But as you said, they are dealing with a lot of race on the side of Simplicity, so you might have to answer fire with fire here.
Yeah, and pairing that with Perfect Storm makes sense why we're seeing that Perfect Storm now, although you do get it here and again. Have that increased, or the damage increase from that. For now, Simplicity are more keen to just defend. They can't quite get down into a position where they can start getting the race even going on SpaceStation's Immortal. And the camp slowing down Artanis has done what we were thinking that SpaceStation would be doing, is trying to keep Artanis away from the Immortals. He has to deal with the camp at the bottom, then maybe he can step up. The rest of Simplicity can join him all around the Immortal of SpaceStation.
K1 Pro and Stukov. It is. I think he is just showcasing how good this hero can be. Even from the small plays to the big plays. This transition for K1 in 2018 is off to a really good start.
With that amateur opponent, every time you see SpaceStation or Simplicity head up, SpaceStation follows them, Artanis goes up, tries to hit a couple of those amateur opponent attacks, twin blades on the Immortal, and then runs back down to clear out the lane. Just pulling SpaceStation back and forth. There goes the Condemn, looking for the silence. There is the silence from that K1 Pro Stukov, always on point. First blood.
They got him. That's what they need. Urho moves up. Oh, if he doesn't land that swap, he might actually come back into the stun. There's another silence. Jason forced to burrow out, does have that extra movement speed. Tomster, of course, but this is going to be raced down to 50%. And in a hurry, Gilly, now these are on neutral sides. This thing's about to get absolutely melted.
Yo, that swap over the stun was awesome, right in between the two stuns. So awesome from Arrow. Johanna just doing everything he can with the Iron Skin as King Caffeine backs off. The damage has been done. Simplicity does what they need to do with the composition that was designed to do that. And that is to get the first Immortal. To get really every Immortal.
Yeah, it's going to be up to team fights to limit them in the future from SpaceStation. And give them the Axe Skill. It was also picked up. So really looking to be damage style Muradin. Again, post level 10 will answer a lot more questions on whether we see the Haymaker, whether it's absolutely needed for them.
Yeah, but man, they have not dedicated anything in. But the way he's playing, it looks like Equinox just wants to get right in and start doing some damage. They at least force back Simplicity momentarily because SpaceStation are starting to get pretty low, and it's just Tomster on that Lucio trying to keep everyone healed back up. Casanova looks to throw in the damage. Simplicity keeping all of SpaceStation off at bay very well as they take down this fort.
You know, that's a risk versus reward scenario there for SpaceStation. They don't get the kill, and in the meantime, Artanis just wreaking havoc up in the top lane, stretching that experience lead. We're looking at a level and a half. This tower should potentially go down now that the minions come in here. They are dangerously close to 10. SpaceStation, they're going to have to play extremely safe for the next few moments while they get to level 10.
And this just shows the difference of, as swap doesn't hit, the difference of Battlefield of Eternity, how much of a difference that increased objective timer is. When you look at level 10 with an Immortal in or on Keep Towers against a team that is level 9 or below, you're pretty much looking at end of game, but generally that's because it's a much higher shielded Immortal, and that wasn't the case in this time. But that doesn't mean that Simplicity are going to let off the the pressure. Just yesterday, SpaceStation took out a keep in this very same scenario, just having heroic abilities this far ahead. And with the Shaman camp, it looks likely, especially with all the damage, with the amateur opponent, that Simplicity can do the same.
Wow. They are just putting it on. Urho gets a swap and not into a prime position. The blind goes down to at least buy them a little bit of time. They don't get the keep. Dahaka's going to brush stalker in on the back side. See if he can grab on anybody meaningful. See the Iron Skin already going out. Doesn't go through. Oh my.
Wave of Force Blessed, the orb, the silence behind him. It was just enough time that Dahaka had to step around, sidestep, got hit by a stun, and that was the end of Dahaka coming in. It has bought some more time for SpaceStation to just about get heroics while still holding on to this keep, but it is oh so low in this bottom lane.
That's twice now they've tried to get that backdoor brush stalker, Gillian. Twice they failed, this time resulting in a takedown for Simplicity, making it difficult to come back, but we have level 10, sadly, no haymaker.
Yeah, there wasn't any sort of third wind or anything really for more defensive style talents to maybe make it so that you'd feel more comfortable getting Avatar. But hey, it's Equinox, anything is possible, but just not haymaker in this game.
I'm like, man, that health bar, oh, that's gone. Okay, that's 50%. The good thing is they held on to that keep bottom lane, which is pretty significant, but they need to try and hold on to this Immortal.
Yeah, and having a global helps with that too. Wave of Force. It was a perfect silence. Good grief, that silence place was good. But so was the sound barrier. Just didn't quite help. Casanova gets hit by the Dragon's Arrow, but SpaceStation is doing an admirable job of keeping him alive as they funnel back. Shrita throws out the Rain of Vengeance, slowing down just a little bit more. And finally, Simplicity hit their mark. They take out Lucio, and they head back to the Immortal.
They head back. King Caffeine going to go over here. This is what Johanna can do. Disrupt the race, making sure that you get every inch of that available to you. Look at the play. Can we look on the far right side there? We saw K1. He made sure to put down his lurking arm to proc that. If those minions are not procced when the Immortals are finished, they will despawn. They know that the Immortal is pushing top lane. They swapped over. Zuna hopped right over on Li Ming. Excellent coordination. These are the small things from Simplicity that we might not have seen on the rosters these guys were on last year. Things looking good. I like that play a lot.
Yeah, the lane was already pushed, and of course SpaceStation could see that that would be where Simplicity was, but they had all backed, trying to get healthy for this next push so that they can make sure that they don't lose too much. And by too much, I do mean the game here, because this is a very highly shielded Immortal. The Simplicity just about to hit 13. As long as they can continue to protect this as best they can. Shrita doing his best to get the Hungering Arrows onto that Immortal, bringing down the shield so it moves into better range. A swap after the Blessed Shield eliminates Muradin.
He is absolutely eliminated. The flailing swipe is going to buy him some time. This is going to be an Immortal coming in. The keep's going to go down. Muradin is down. I'd like to see Simplicity at least try to posture up a little bit, look for maybe another kill or two, get some core damage in, and then potentially look to end the game. They're going to wait for this to move forward. Gilly, tense situation right now for SpaceStation.
Absolutely tense right now. Arrow's getting on the point, and meanwhile, the core, King Caffeine, all he's doing is just trying to distract SpaceStation from that. An orb from downtown takes out Dahaka. Stukov has gone down, but I just don't think that's going to be enough at all for SpaceStation. Simplicity, 11 minutes in, throws it back to SpaceStation, and they'll win the series.
Then we find ourselves in a very similar position from yesterday, to where SpaceStation lost one game to LFM, and you're like, all right, that probably shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. They go on to win 3-1. Simplicity comes out. They lose to a Genji, Illidan, Lost Vikings in less than 7 minutes, or right around 7 minutes. But every other game looked really good. There was the Sky Temple moment where SpaceStation might question a few things, but this is Simplicity. Yesterday, not able to get over the Gale Force hump. Today, they get over the SpaceStation, get their first victory of HGC.
Yeah, and extremely important for Simplicity, because going down 2 series in your first week, it's heartbreaking. There's only so many series. You get 7 in a part, 1 against every other team in HGC. And to be able to go to these events that every team dreams of going to, you have to be in the top 3 for the Western Clash. And so you really just can't even afford to lose. You can't afford to lose series. You're even looking at games sometimes, and that being the determining factor, your head-to-head. All of these things really come into play when you're looking at Western Clash qualification.
Yeah, tiebreakers are important. Guess what? There's more prize money when you go to clashes too. it's cool to have salary.
That's
but
pretty good.
Or however we approach that, but it's good. It's good to go there. Good to compete in the international events. All these people have the drive to get back to that. I know Zuna's wanted to, King Caffeine and K1. They're kind of expected to, but they've hit some stumbling blocks the past year plus. It hasn't been since BlizzCon 2016 that they were at an international, I believe.
Yeah, you had King Caffeine, K1 Pro on Denial, and was Naventic there at that time too? No, Naventic wasn't the other team there. That was Astral Authority or Tempo Storm. Yeah, at the time. So it's been a bit since these old gods have been representing North America. There's still names to be feared, and I feel like that series, and even their series versus Gale Force, it shows exactly why.
The ceiling is very high for this team, and the flexibility that they've had through their drafts. K1 Pro, though, I mean...
He's amazing.
At what point do you say, all right, look, we're going to ban out one, but maybe we should start looking to focus on K1 Pro? Because he has done so many things well. It's really easy to point out, okay, Li Ming gets a reset, Genji presses R, things like that are really easy to notice. But when you start doing the small things as supports, those are much more difficult for the casual fan to notice because they're not necessarily the big plays. But they contribute so much to the team. And I think right now, K1 Pro for me, with this team set up, you've got the solid front line of King Caffeine, but K1, his buddy on the backside. I'm just blown away at the transition. This is a new role for him, and he comes out in what we've got 9 games under our belt, 8 games under our belt that we've seen from him. He looks phenomenal.
Here's the problem, though, trying to ban out any of these players. They have been playing this game for so long that most of them have played just about every single role. Like, you talk about K1 Pro, right? He's just not played tank because he's with King Caffeine, and that's King Caffeine's role. But everything else, melee flex, he's played obviously every single ranged flex. He was a mage player for a long time, back when he was flanking with Jaina, and it was crazy, and now he's support. He's just such a flexible player that you can see why he could immediately come into a new role like support and be that confident in that role that they can pick clear at the end and be strong like that. Zuna, he's played every role? No, not support, because Kenma was playing support. So just the opposite from that. He's played so much. Like, man, banning versus them, like target banning versus any one of them just seems, I don't know if it's going to work, my friends.
The best part about this team is that it's no longer like, oh, we better make sure and support Zuna because we need Zuna to carry. He's willing to play. He played the Tassadar